On the fateful evening of March 18, 2006, the USS Gonzales, a destroyer of the Ali Burke class, was patrolling about 25 nautical miles off the coast of Somalia. During the patrol, the crew spotted a larger boat towing two smaller boats known as skiffs. This was a common tactic employed by Somali pirates, where a larger mothership would tow smaller attack skiffs to enhance their range and speed during attacks. Accompanied by the USS Cape St. George, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, the two American ships began to follow the suspected pirates as they headed westward towards the coast. Around 5:40 a.m., the USS Gonzales deployed two rigid-hulled inflatable boats, or RIBs, with boarding teams on board. The objective was to conduct a routine boarding and search of the vessels. As the RIBs approached the skiffs, the pirates on board reportedly brandished rocket-propelled grenades, and some sources suggest that they even opened fire on the boarding teams at close range. In response, the boarding teams returned fire and quickly withdrew from the area, making their way back to the warships. At this point, the pirates redirected their fire towards the USS Gonzales and the USS Cape St. George. They began shooting small arms at the USS Cape St. George, and RPGs were reportedly fired. In response, the two US ships returned fire using mounted deck machine guns and small arms, since they couldn't use their major weapon systems due to the close engagement distance. During the exchange of fire, a .50 caliber round from the US ships hit a large fuel drum aboard the larger mothership skiff, causing it to ignite in flames. Witnessing the destruction of their support boat, the pirates aboard the remaining two skiffs surrendered to the USS Cape St. George. One pirate was confirmed killed during the gunfight, and 5 others were injured out of the total 12 captured. Remarkably, the US ships suffered no injuries or casualties, and the damage to them was minor. Commander Jeff Breslow of the Navy's 5th Fleet stated that the damage was limited to evidence of small arms impact, which would not disrupt the ship's mission. After the attack, the HNLMS Amsterdam, a Dutch support ship, arrived to provide medical assistance to the injured pirates. Eventually, all the captured pirates were released and repatriated back to Somalia, as the US government chose not to press charges against them. Somali pirates carried out a similar attack on a Spanish Navy oil replenisher. The ship called Patino set sail for her second tour as part of Operation Atalanta in the Indian Ocean. She was the flagship of the EU naval forces in Somali waters. On January 12, 2012 at 03:30, while at anchor after escorting a World Food Programme ship with humanitarian aid to Mogadishu, Somalia, a sentry on board Patino spotted a skiff approaching the ship's hull with the intention of boarding it. The skiff had 7 individuals on board, and they opened fire on the Spanish vessel using AK-47 rifles. The pirates mistakenly thought Patino was a freighter. During the ensuing 2-minute gun battle, Patino was hit on her hull and funnel by around 50 bullets. In response, the Spanish sailors used their light armament to return fire. However, when the pilots persisted with their aggression, the Spanish sailors took action to neutralize the threat using what the Spanish Ministry of Defense referred to as self-defense fire. This forced the skiff to retreat and flee the scene. After the gun battle, one of Patino's SH-3 Sea King helicopters chased the motorboat for a distance of 3,000 yards or 2,700 meters. The helicopter warned the attackers through a megaphone and finally brought them to a halt with a burst across the boat's bow from its machine gun. During the pursuit, the pirates threw overboard 3 ladders, 2 bags, and 7 rifles. The Spanish personnel captured 6 men, 5 of whom were wounded, with 3 of them seriously injured. The pirates claimed that a 7th crew member was killed in the exchange of fire and that his body fell into the sea. The damaged skiff was confiscated by the Spanish authority after the incident. Eloy Velasco, the judge in charge of the Audiencia Nacional of Spain, ordered the arrested men to be taken to Spain for questioning on charges of piracy, possession of illegal weapons, damage to government property, and assault on members of the security forces. Velasco believed that since the attack took place against Spanish citizens in international waters and there was no existing agreement with another country preventing a Spanish trial, the case fell under Spanish jurisdiction. Initially, Kenya was considered as an alternative trial location due to a previous arrangement granting Kenyan jurisdiction over piracy acts in the Indian Ocean. However, in 2010, Kenya's High Court ruled that it would only put on trial those captured within its territorial waters. By the time the Kenyan Court of Appeal overturned this decision in October 2012, the trial for Patino's pirates had already begun in Spain. During their trial in Spain, all 6 men pleaded not guilty, claiming they were fishermen seeking assistance at sea when approaching Patino. In October 2013, the men were convicted of attempted piracy by a Spanish court and sentenced to 8 years in jail. One man, Hamoud Al-Faf Mahu, received an additional 4.5-year term after being convicted of belonging to a criminal organization. In April 2014, the prosecution successfully appealed the sentence lengths, arguing that the piracy constituted an actual attack on the ship, not just an attempt. As a result, an additional 5 years was added to each sentence, extending them to between 13 and 17.5 years. During the 2000s, piracy was a significant problem off the coast of Somalia, a war-torn country in the eastern part of Africa. Originally, the attacks targeted foreign fishing boats to protect the local fishermen's livelihoods. However, the Somali pirates soon realized the immense profit they could make by kidnapping and demanding ransom for the crews of these vessels. As a result, not only fishing boats but also cargo ships and even cruise liners became lucrative targets for piracy. To address this growing threat, a multinational force called Combined Task Force 150, or CTF 150, was established in 2006. Consisting of approximately 15 ships from 34 different countries, CTF 150 launched anti-pirate operations in the area. Prior to this, CTF 150 had been involved in the War on Terror and Operation Enduring Freedom in the Horn of Africa region, which spans between Africa and Asia. One notable success was intercepting a shipment of weapons from North Korea to Yemen in December 2002.